Hi friends, welcome to SavanKnits. My name is Savannah and I live in Utah in the United States. And today I want to share my Make 9 for 2025 with you. And I also have some other knitting related goals for this year. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to say that I am wearing the Courage Henley by Tori Yu. I made this with Cascade 220 in doeskin heather. And if you want more details, you can look on my Ravelry page or go back and watch some old podcast episodes where I talk about this. Also, everything that I talk about will be linked below, as well as a link to my Ravelry page where I have a TBK page, which is everything I want to knit. The yarn is already in my stash, so you're welcome to look through that as well. I will have more patterns than just the 9 patterns from my Make 9 in there. I like to keep that one just kind of updated so I can choose a project whenever I'm ready for a new one out of that list, if that makes sense. So you're very welcome to look at that as well for more project inspiration. But my Make 9 is basically some projects that I for sure want to get to this year. The yarn that I already have in stash. These are projects that I've been wanting to make for a while, and projects that I think will really bring me a lot of joy in my knitting, which is always my priority, is to find joy in what I'm making. So let's go through the Make 9 first. And then at the end, I'll briefly touch on some knitting related goals. So here is my Make 9. I have mostly sweaters on there. There are a couple tees as well, and a pair of socks. I, of course, will make more socks than this, but these socks are ones that I especially want to get to. So let's start with the first one. The first one is the Riihi by Rania Hakaleto. And it is from this book that I have, Lakeside Stitches, and it's this sweater on the cover. My mom got me this book as a surprise gift a couple months ago, and I was actually watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Sanavara, and she made a version of this, and I loved it so much, and she mentioned this book, and then when I looked through this book, online, I wanted this book so badly, and my mom didn't even know that, and she purchased this book for me. So I was very excited, kind of meant to be, and I knew that I wanted to make this sweater on the cover. And for a couple months I deliberated on what yarn I should use. I knew I wanted similar colors, and I knew that the recommended yarn is the Sadness Garn Peer Gynt, and I did not want to spend that much money. I wanted a more budget-friendly option, and I know that people say that Sadness Garn is a budget-friendly yarn, and I think for what you get and in comparison to other yarns, it is. But it would still be around $100 for this sweater for my size, which is not exactly budget-friendly for me. So I played around with different yarn choices online, and I found a combo that I think will work well. This is a DK weight pattern, and so I already knew that I love Drops Lima. I really enjoy this yarn. It's a wool and alpaca blend. So I got this dark brown color and this gray color. This is color 9026. And this one is 9015. So these will be with the color work. And then I had a hard time finding a tweed yarn that I liked, that I thought would go well and had the exact same meterage per 50 grams, so I could make sure that the color work will lay flat and that, you know, it will match the exact weight of the Drops Lima. And I came across BC Garn. This is the Hamilton Tweed 1, which is a wool and viscose blend. And let's see, this is color 2. So very beautiful cream yarn with some brown and then black and white tweed flecks. And so I think together these three will make a perfect yarn. I am a little concerned that this is a different ply. This is a 2-ply, and Lima, I'm not sure how many plies Lima is, but it is a lot more than 2. Might be 6 or something like that. But I'm hoping that they'll still look great together. And they are exactly the same meterage. They're both 100 meters per 50 grams. So I am really excited to make this, and I think these colors will look great together, and I am hoping to make this hopefully next fall. We'll have to see when I get to it. I forgot to mention that all of these patterns that I'm mentioning are size inclusive, and I will only show patterns that are size inclusive and only knit patterns that are size inclusive to the best of my ability. So just so you know, if you're wondering. The next pattern on my Make 9 is the Sabrina V-Neck by Tamara Jordan or Star-Crossed Knits. And I am going to be doing the Tee version of this. It comes in many different options. You could do a vest, you could do, or like a sleeveless top, you can do a tee, or you can do a long sleeve. I will be doing the Tee version. So it's just a V-neck top down tee, and it is a fingering plus a fingering, and so a DK weight around there. I will be using just a DK weight. I have this Treehouse Knits Dove DK in the color In Bloom, and I was going through a major purple phase. I still kind of am, but I feel like last year I loved all the lavenders and the purples and everything, and so I loved this color when it came out. And because it is variegated, I wanted a simple pattern to go with it, so I decided on the Sabrina V-neck. And I also wanted to use this pattern because it works with, I only have 3 skeins of this. That's how much I could afford at the time. And it does not use a lot of yarn for what it is. So I think it will be great. I think because it's a V-neck and it's also super wash, so I can even size down, and then when blocking it will grow a little bit. So yeah, I'm very excited to make this. I've made one other pattern by Tamara Jordan, and I really love her attention to detail, attention to fit, and I know I'm gonna get a great garment out of this. So this will be one of the first things I cast on when it becomes spring. And I forgot to mention that this is a 100% superwash merino wool, but I think with it being a V-neck, it will still be breathable and wearable in the spring and into summer. The next thing on my Make 9 is the Ebba Pullover by Sari Nordland. This pattern is relatively new. It came out in December of 2023. Nope, 2024. And I love the design of it. I love that it looks like cables, but it's not cables. I don't mind doing cables, but I love that it's a lace that looks like cables. I just think that's really fun. This is a DK weight drop shoulder top down pattern, and I will be using Drops Lima in the color 0619, which is this beige brown color. And I think that I will opt for a folded down collar. I don't love the super high collar that she has on her sample, but she does have instructions for a folded down collar. And I've mentioned this before, I don't super love Sari Nordland's patterns. I love what she designs. I just don't super love her pattern writing style. I find them to skip over some details that I would appreciate, but it might be worth it for this one because it is so beautiful, and it's a sweater I think that you could dress up or wear down depending on where you're going when you're wearing it. And I think it just looks like a very engaging knit. That's what I'm all about this year, is I'm realizing with all of my Make 9 that I want engaging knits, whether it's engaging via the yarn, if it's variegated yarn or other beautiful yarn, or if it's engaging in its texture or color work. things like that. I think that's what brings me the most joy in my knitting. The next thing on my Make 9 is the Market Henley by Claire Jackson of Perfectly Knotted. This is a fingering weight pattern. It is a Henley with a waffle stitch throughout, and my Courage Henley was my first Henley that I made, and I really love it. I love that it's not a V-neck and it's not a full sweater. It's that in-between point that still makes it very wearable to me, and I feel so confident when I wear it and comfortable, and so I definitely want another Henley. And I love the idea of a waffle stitch Henley, and I've never done a waffle stitch before, but it sounds so fun to knit and it looks fantastic. So I am going to be using the Wandering Flock. This is their 100% superwash extra fine merino, and this is color Neon Lilac. Again, this is when I went through a neon lilac phase and bought expensive yarn that was purple, but this I bought in August, but it was for my Christmas present. So I have 4 skeins of these, which is enough to make this Market Henley, and it is top down and lightweight, and it just looks so cozy but also light, not too heavy, and it looks like it has really good drape. And I'm hoping that this yarn, it is a single ply, so I'm hoping that the waffle stitch will really pop because of the single ply or roving tends to make your stitches look really defined. So I'm thinking this will be a good pairing for this sweater. The next one on my Make 9 is the Minto Tee by Magdalena Parker, and this is a fingering weight tee that has cables all throughout, and I want to use Drops Fable, and I'm going to be using this color 111, which is this mustard yellow color. And I've never used Drops Fable before, but I really love the color selection that they had, and I've heard good things about it. This is a superwash wool and polyamide blend, and I've always wanted a mustard yellow sweater because I think it will look good with my red hair. So I am going with the Minto Tee. Again, I want knits that are going to engage me, and this one looks perfect, and I think the cables will really shine in this mustard yellow color, and I think it will be a good spring and fall top. I think with the cables it might get a little bit warm in the summer with it being mostly wool. But I am really excited to make it, and I think it looks beautiful. I think the drape is wonderful, and this will be my first Magdalena Parker pattern, so I am interested to see how it goes, and I've heard great things about her designs as well. So yeah, I'm excited to make it. This next one, I swear I have talked about so much. I still want to make the Alaska sweater by Camille Descoteaux, and I am still planning on using the Explorer Knits and Fibers Tweed DK in Avenor and Drift, and this has been on my list forever, and I don't know why I haven't gotten to it, and I keep making excuses. But I think that I am really going to make this a priority in the fall, and I think it would be fun to start around September so I can have it done for October, because as I've said before, it could be spooky trees or winter trees, and I think having this sweater ready for Halloween would be really, really fun. It's a DK weight pattern. It calls for a Knit Pick City Tweed DK, but I'm just going to be using this. This was a very special purchase that was obviously expensive, but I purchased this yarn specifically to make this sweater because I tried to find the exact colors for the sweater as the designer used, and I could not find them because the Knit Pick City Tweed DK, they don't make those colors anymore, and I could not find the exact shades. So when this popped up, I knew I had to get it, and I have zero regrets. So I also think with my hand-dyed yarn, sometimes I'm a little bit scared to use it because it is so expensive and precious, it just needs to stay on the shelf for a while so I can appreciate it before I knit it up. But I think I'm getting ready to finally cast this on, finally make it this year. Very excited for it. And I think it will be the perfect fall sweater, especially because it is cropped in both the body and the arms, so it won't be a super warm sweater. And here in Utah, fall stays pretty warm until about November, so I think it will be absolutely perfect. This next one I think I'm most excited about. This is the Iris by Trin Onally, I think is how you say her name. And this pattern came out last month, and oh my goodness, I have been obsessed with this sweater all throughout her design process. I've been waiting to buy the pattern, get the yarn for it. I wish I could have done the test knit, but I knew at the time, I've only done one other colorwork test knit, and I appreciated the experience, but it was kind of stressful, and I think I would enjoy it more if I could do colorwork sweaters at my own pace. So I ordered a kit from Holst Garn, which is the same yarn, same colors as the designer used, and the Holst Garn company put together these kits so that you could just buy according to the size that you want to knit for this sweater. And it's about to get a little crinkly. Here it is. Oh my goodness. Look at all those. I'm keeping them nice and in the package so that I don't lose them. I am so excited to make this. It is a fingering weight colorwork pattern, which sounds daunting, but also I've reached the point this year where once I finish my current whip, which is the Arctic Light sweater, I am going to move on to this one, the Iris, and I am okay if that's the only 2 sweaters I make until it's time to start spring and summer tees. I feel like I have enough sweaters for this year. I'm very happy with the ones that I have made, and I'm kind of getting that itch to just move on. I've made a lot of sweaters, and I'm ready to move on to tees when it gets warm in April. But I really want to capitalize on this momentum that I have for this Iris because it is a fingering weight, it is colorwork. There are a lot of new techniques that I'm going to learn in this. There's a special shoulder cast on. You steek the armholes, and I've never done steeking before. So it's going to be one heck of a project, and I don't want to rush myself in thinking that I really want to knit this Iris fast so that I can knit more sweaters before it gets warm. I don't want to do that to myself. I want to make my process with the Iris as joyful and as slow as it needs to be. So this will be my next cast on, and if I don't finish it to wear it for this year, that is totally okay. I'm totally fine with that. I just want the joy of knitting it. I don't necessarily want the product right away, and that doesn't always happen for me, but it's happening with this one, and I am honestly excited to experience that in this. So yeah, it's a light fingering, top down drop shoulder colorwork, and there are 8 colors, which I have never done that many colors in a colorwork sweater before. And I've already bought the pattern, and oh my goodness, the pattern is amazing. There are so many picture tutorials, video tutorials, super clear in what to do and how to do it, and the charts are very simple and beautiful. So I am feeling well supported in this endeavor. So yeah, as soon as I finish my current sweater, I will be casting this on and working on it until it gets warm. And I'm very excited about that. The next one, we have 2 left. Second to last is the Blooming Lavender Socks by Stone Knits or Charlotte Stone, and it's from this book, Charming Colorwork Socks. I think you can also buy the pattern separately on Ravelry. And it's a beautiful colorwork sock pattern with lavender flowers on the cuff, and then a little bit of color work down here by the toe, and then contrasting heel and toe. And I again wanted the same yarn as the pattern. I I honestly am not great at choosing colors for color work, so I often just like to copy the designer because I think what they choose is great and I'm happy with having the same thing. And I unfortunately could not buy this same yarn. It's not available anymore. But I found some similar colors. So I am using Knit Pick Stroll, which I have never used before, but I'm excited to try it because it is incredibly soft. It's the softest sock yarn I think I've ever felt. So I'm using the Stroll Tweed for the main color, and this is in color Down Heather. And then I am using these pink and this green in English Lavender and Forest Heather. So those three together for the socks. And I am hoping these can be a spring cast on because the flowers just really look like a spring, and it would be fun to cast these on maybe in April and have them done for Easter. Not sure, but I've been wanting to make these for a long time as well, so I'm very excited to make these and have some very fabulous looking socks for spring and summer. The last one is the Fleur Tee by Brianna Mason of, I think her name is Woolbird Knits or something like that. This is a beautiful lacy tee. It is fingering weight, and I will be using Drops Fable in color 121, which I think is called Wheat. But I really love the classy whitish creamish beigeish color of this. I think it will look really good with the lace detail, and I'm planning on adding length to this. It is quite cropped in her designer photos, in her sample photos, but I feel like it's going to be a very light, very airy garment, and I think even with the wool I will be able to wear it through the summer because of the lace and the openness of it. And this is also my first time making one of Brianna Mason's patterns, and I love a lot of her patterns, so I'm interested to see what I think of her as a pattern writer, and I would love to, you know, make more of her patterns. This is a tee that is worked bottom up, which is not my favorite, but I'm willing to do it for this tee because I think it is beautiful. So I will need to add a lot more length beforehand, which might be a little bit tricky knowing how much to add if it's bottom up, but that's okay. We're going to learn new things and new techniques. I think I'm just really excited to make some tees, but have to finish my current sweater and the iris, and we'll get there when we get there. Those are all of the things on my Make 9, and if you want to know more of the things that I have planned to make this year, as I said before, check out my Ravelry page that's called TBK, and you'll see lots more in there on what I'm planning to make this year. And I wanted to go over briefly my 2025 knitting goals, and I've kind of separated them into 4 categories: making, YouTube and Instagram, social, and purchasing. So making wise, I want to focus on my Make 9 first. These are ones that I'm most excited about, ones that are top priority for me, so I do want to make sure I get these Make 9 done this year. I also want to try another heel for a sock. I usually do my heel flap and gusset, but I would really love to try Charlotte Stone's version of the German short row heel. And I've heard other things about different kinds of heels, like maybe the Flegel heel or the kite heel. I just want to try different heels for socks and see what I like the best. And I also want to keep knitting down my stash with accessory projects. I started doing this the second half of last year, and I really loved doing it. I loved finding accessories that would work for those random odd skeins of yarn, and I feel like they're great for gift knitting and really breaks up the, not monotony, but always knitting a large project can get a little hard when you're not finishing something so often, and having those little accessories that you finish faster can be a great mood booster for your knitting, so, and really motivating. So I want to keep doing that this year as well. Just lots of hats and mittens and socks and things like that. The next section with YouTube and Instagram is I want to make one vlog. Vlogs seem a little bit intimidating to me, and I know how they work because I've watched so many vlogs, but I just don't know how they work in my life. And so I want to challenge myself and just make one vlog this year. I have no idea what it will be about. I don't know, but I want to make one vlog, see how I like it, get out of my comfort zone a little bit. I also want to make sure that I'm still posting podcasts every 1 to 2 weeks. I find a lot of joy in that, and I love talking about what I'm knitting, and it kind of helps me think about my knitting in different ways. So I want to keep doing that. And then I also don't want to be as silent of a viewer anymore. I really want to comment on people's videos that I watch, because I know that comments mean a lot to me, and I think they mean a lot to anyone who posts. So I really want to get better at commenting on other people's YouTube videos. And with that as well, on Instagram, I also am kind of a silent viewer on Instagram, and I really want to be better about commenting or responding to other people's Instagram stories. I just want to be more communicative to other people so I can make more friends and also just support other people on Instagram and YouTube through commenting on their stuff. So those are all of my goals for the YouTube and Instagram section. And then in social, I want to meet more in-person knitting friends. I also want to attend a knit night at a local yarn store. It seems so daunting to go to one because I'm such an introvert, but I just need to do it, and I know that I'll have fun, and if I don't, that's okay. I tried it, but I want to push myself out of the comfort zone and go to a knit night, meet some knitting friends here in Utah in person. I think that would be really fun. The last 2 goals that I have are related to purchasing. I have my yarn stash in this cube organizer, and I want to keep it to those 3 cubes that you see in this picture. I want it to not overflow. It's overflowing a little bit right now, but it's only because of this iris kit that I don't want to take out and organize. I just want to keep it contained. So that technically isn't in there. And my sock yarn scraps are not in those cubes, but I'm talking about big projects, sweater quantities worth of yarn. I don't want to get out of those 3 cubes. And I think that's very doable for me. And I also want to double guess sock yarn purchases. I want to knit more colorwork socks this year, and I do have quite a bit of different colors now built up, so I think I could start getting creative and use scraps for those colorwork socks. And I also just fall into the trap of wanting to buy a lot of variegated hand-dyed sock yarn, which I think is great to support those designers, but I also know it's something that I can't do all the time, and it's not sustainable. And I already have several skeins of hand-dyed sock yarn that I haven't knit yet that I want to get to, and so it doesn't make sense for me to buy more when I already have some that I'm excited to knit. So I'm not saying that I'm not going to buy any, because I know that I will, because there are always going to be beautiful skeins that call to me, that bring me a lot of joy, and that if I save my money for them, for sure I can treat myself. But I also want to double guess and say, do I already have sock yarn in this palette that I'm excited about? Do I already have a lot of sock yarn that brings me just as much joy as this that I haven't even knit? So I really want to be more intentional about that and make less spur of the moment purchases, and make sure that what I'm getting is different from what I already have, and that is still bringing me a lot of joy that I am not finding in another skein of yarn. if that makes sense. So those are a little bit of my 2025 goals. That is my Make 9. I am feeling so excited and so inspired by this year of knitting, and I am excited for all of the projects that are going to pop up that I never had imagined that I would knit. Maybe some test knits that will inspire me, or just new designs that I'll decide to, you know what, I want to make that instead. My goal for my knitting, first and foremost, is to find joy in it. And with that, joy to me means planning out projects that I want to do and having the yarn for it in my stash, but also allowing myself to have the flexibility of changing my mind on a pattern, changing my mind on a yarn. And at the end of the day, knitting needs to serve me because it is my hobby, and I need my hobbies to bring me joy because life is tough, life is busy, but if you have a hobby that you can come home to and have a perfect break with that brings you joy, then it makes life so much better, I think. So that is my 2025 plans, and I want to know what your 2025 plans are. I want to know what you are casting on next, or something that you're very excited to make this year, or a yarn that you're excited to work with. Let me know everything about your 2025 plans too, so that we can inspire each other, get ideas off of each other. I love it. And hopefully next week I'll have a new podcast episode for you guys. I have been having some grief with my current whips, so it'll be nice to talk about those a little bit. I hope you guys are all doing well and finding joy in what you're making. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you like these videos. I can't talk anymore, so I'm gonna go. I will see you guys next time. Bye.